what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy it. Let's talk Jayden Daniels. That was kind of the hot debate topic yesterday. I would say this. I think Jayden Daniels really, probably his worst string in the game for me, Jake, was actually that first red zone, 6-play red zone.
Yeah.
Where you had, which sucks, right? Because it ended up being so crucial. But where you start on the one, you get the penalty, you end up getting 6 plays from the red zone. And almost every play, I felt like there was just a slight misread by Jayden. Whether it was not pulling it when he needed to, not sticking with his first read long enough. Like there was one where there's this rub designed for Brian Thomas to come underneath, and if he just stayed with it for a tick longer, he should have thrown it, and it broke open. Now I hated the 4th down call. I cannot. Did you? If you rewatch,
we talked about that, the moving parts to it, and the second one, and the first one.
The first one, I can't wrap my head around it. The route combinations. Yeah. What were those? Mm-hmm. Everything to the outside and super long and slow developing? Like, give me 18 slants. Just slant everybody. I don't know. Like, it's to me, that was one. And, like, Mason Taylor fell down. Like, but that's another one where at Denbrock, I'm like, what? But, like, you know what? For the other ones, I think Jayden deserves a lot of the culpability. Now, I thought he had some nice flow at some points in this game, and overall, it was a pretty good first half, right? I mean, you end up 17-14. It was a pretty good second half until it wasn't. I mean, granted, the drops really aren't on him, right? But I would say this. Jayden Daniels is limited in some ways, obviously. And again, I don't know that, like if you know he throws the fade so poorly, why throw a fade? Because the fade throw was awful.
The non-connection with Malik Neighbors was maybe the biggest surprising thing for me in the passing game. Because, one, we've seen them have a connection before, and 2, he is undoubtedly your number 1 receiver now. How many times in the offseason did we talk about, okay, Kayshon Boutte's no longer here. There's no longer going to be a situation where you feel like you have to force the ball to Kayshon, because at times last year, certainly in the first game, it felt like that. And Malik ended up being the guy who was the savior, right? Y'all had a great connection, and, man, they were on a different page. I mean, every time they showed Malik after a throw, he was giving a hand signal. Hey, here, or there.
Yeah, the fade, he's like, you got to throw it up.
Right? I mean, and so then you go to that sequence on the sideline, so LSU's left sideline, and they just, man, he tried a couple different times because you had one-on-one coverage, and it's like, he's going to throw the fade, and he's going to throw the back shoulder. And then Malik's like, I don't really know where it's going to go. And I'm not even saying that that's all on the quarterback. I don't know what their rules to that throw are, but whatever it was, they weren't on the same page.
And it's still, I mean, Jayden's accuracy on those balls still is his biggest limiting factor, you know? Attacking those outside one-on-one coverages, putting it over the top, getting it where it needs to be. That is his big – he's good at a lot. He's really good at a lot. He's not good at that. And I think, again, that's where I become a bit disappointed is why not get him on the move more? Why not make him more dynamic? It's got a bit of a – and it's not the worst case I've seen of this. I've seen way worse cases at LSU watching quarterback play through the year. That's the other part about this is like – it may sound like I'm coming off as this is, again, an abject disaster. It's more of a limiting factor on what this team can be. It's not a disaster. Like this team's going to put up a lot of points and good numbers against a lot of teams this year, but against the best teams, this will hold you back, I think. But it feels, Jake, to me, like here in game number 1, they were kind of committed to making him more of a pocket passer. I don't know exactly why or what the deal was. It just it wasn't as dynamic as it felt like it should have been when you have that guy at quarterback. So is Daniels limited? Absolutely, right? But and he made some just flat out bad reads that could have resulted in touchdowns, better plays, bad throws. But I also feel like in that same breath, there is a bit of a disconnect with some of the things they're asking him to do.
Yeah, and we talked about it yesterday, and we talked about it last year, the same situation. It's been 4 years in a row now, but certainly last year, like there was nothing that you were going to be able to do against Southern last year that was going to impress anybody or take this pressure or take this negativity away from you. Same situation this year, but you shouldn't worry about that. You should worry about the things that T-Bob's talking about. Change the things that you can control the controllables, and you can control how you utilize your quarterback. You can control getting him on the move. You can control some of the throws. That's what this game needs to be. I don't care what the score is. I'm not trying to rush. Hey, I want to see that freshman play. He can play in a little bit. He can play in right now because we have to work on these things, because it's not like you get this game and then you get New Mexico and then you get Mississippi State. You get this game and then you get Mississippi State and then you get Arkansas. You got 2 SEC games. The things that you've got to fix from this tape have to happen this weekend inside Tiger Stadium. And the things that you want to get to, be it offense or defense, whatever it might be, on offense, if it's getting the quarterback on the move, if it's making him more comfortable, if it's going to 5- and 6-man protection, no 7-man protection, you got to do it in this game. If it's getting Harold Perkins more on the edge, you have to do it in this game, because we talked about it. You do have a player that's played a lot of football here in Greg Penn that can play backer. So if you want to place him in the middle with Omar Spates, you can get creative again with Harold Perkins.
Yeah.
And if you want to keep Perk in different situations, and sometimes he's still a stack backer, he did it a year ago. I get it. But this is a game that you have the opportunity, but you got to go out there and do it, because you can't just show up in Starkville, 11 a.m. kickoff, and expect to have these wholesale changes.
I mean, yeah, it's like, look, if we can see it, they definitely see it, right? They're aware of all of this.
Yes.
Like, I cannot fathom that the offensive staff would have so much pride that they would come in and watch this film and feel like they really put their best foot forward from a play calling standpoint. And I see some Jordan Travis or Jayden Daniels talking to the chat. Make no mistake, Travis is better than Daniels. And most of all, it's on those fade. Like, he's really good at Daniels' greatest weakness, right? Which you're attacking that single coverage on the outside, the fades, the deep balls, et cetera, et cetera. I think where it feels even worse, though, is, as I kind of talked about throughout this, if you really go back and watch this game, you just can't draw any other conclusion. Norvell's offense is drastically more dynamic. I mean, the different, again, the interconnecting themes and plays and how they build off of one another, and the fact that pretty much every single play has 2 linemen pulling one way and 3 going the other. Like, you're constantly winning with angles and misdirection, where LSU, even though it is a spread, had a bit more of an old school, no, we're just going to square up and take you on. And guess what? If the other team's just as good or better than you, that ain't going to work.
I think the thing is, it's in there, though. Like, go back to the first 2 plays.
I know, the first half, they look great. They did it.
You do know it's available, and it is in there. And that's what it's about. Like, when you have athletes like LSU has on offense, it's about spreading it out, opening everything up. And certainly when you have a quarterback that can really do a nice job, it's one of the strengths that Jayden Daniels has, of finding those running lanes if there's not a play there. But when you rugby scrum everything up, then those aren't there. Then you don't have, because that's Jayden's check down. It's not checking it down to the back or the tight end. Jayden Daniels' check down is running the football.
Yeah.
It just is. That is what he goes to. And everybody does the check down a little bit different. Okay, when you used to play the Detroit Lions back in 2010-11, whenever that was, their check down, Matthew Stafford would tap his helmet and Calvin Johnson would go deep. That was their check down. I had never seen it before, but that was their check down. And they hit 2 of those on us. You watch it on tape. He catches the ball, nothing there, taps his helmet, looks at his way, throws it deep, touchdown.
Wow.
All right. And some people, it's, hey, check down Charlie to the running back. Sometimes it's to the tight end. And sometimes when you have a dynamic quarterback that can run, his check down is to try to run and try to pick up 7 yards.
So you know what I want? I want the running back out on a route. So when he runs, the defender has to say, what do I do? Yeah. And then if the defender commits, dump it to him. Yep. Like, it's not sitting in there blocking, doing nothing.
And if that's on the backs too, now I'm not inside the locker room and the meeting rooms. If that's on the backs too, if you have a check protection, get out, and you're sitting there patrolling the area, you got to get it back in there that trusts himself and trust his eyes and trust the protection. Because I've seen that as well. A guy that's so scared to miss an assignment that he stays in. He's like, oh, I thought my guy was coming. It's like, no, your guy was walking towards you because he's got you in man coverage. He's not coming. He's walking to you
Chilling.
right now.
I mean,
get
chilling.
out.
Just sitting there. The defenders are
Right.
just adding 2 spies. Every time you kept the tight end and running back in, there was just a guy just sitting there on the Florida State defense watching Jayden, just chilling, just waiting for him to try to make a move. And then Jayden can't even go anywhere because the wash is even washier because there's extra blocking bodies hanging out.
It used to be a pet peeve of almost every coach that I had in the NFL. In college, it happens. In the
We see
NFL,
it every year here, man.
it just you got to get out. If
Except for
you
19.
have a route, get out on the route. Right? If your guy is not screaming like hell, he ain't coming. He's guarding you, man. And then once you sit there and patrol the area, he's like, oh, okay, I'll add into the blitz.
Yeah.
Or I'll become a spy.
Or a spy, yeah. Like if it's against Jayden, you don't even have to add. You just hang out and take away what is his most dynamic ability. Like again, why these are protections that this is exactly what I'm talking about when we talk about highlighting weaknesses and not highlighting strengths. These are protections that take away what is your quarterback's greatest strength to force him into something that he doesn't do well. Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.